All right, Shannon, what are we learning about today? Obviously trees, but
We're going to learn how to make your foliage look three-dimensional, like it has depth.
awesome.
Because trees have depth.
Okay,
Okay, so let's get right into it. What you want to do is you want to have a first layer of your leaves on your trees. So that is what this is over here. I'm going to demonstrate that first. So what you want to do is you want to make a shadow color of your green. And how to make a shadow color is you mix its opposing color. When I say opposing, it's directly across from the color wheel. The opposing color of green is red. So you're going to take a little bit of red and add it into your green, whatever green you like. And we're going to use that as our first layer in our leaves. So this technique right here is called stippling. And stippling is a very like tap, tap, tap motion of the brush. I'm holding it on an angle. I thought you were applauding me for a second.
Oh yeah, good job
stippling. And I like to kind of like fray my edges of my leaves. It can get kind of weird if you're like, it's very natural to kind of like smooth things out, but try not to have it like a perfect circle. Really try and like taper the edges, fray them, get like some singular leaves out here. That looks fun. So that is how I did this first layer here, and this is where we're going to work on making it actually look like it has depth, because right now it's fairly flat, as opposed to this has some more dimension to it. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that the technique really helps to create that bushiness, but it's still, over here, it's still just flat.
Still flat,
Okay,
right.
so what do you do? How do you change that?
So we want to start lightening our green, and every time we lighten our green, we should be adding more of that lighter green on top of our leaves. And when I say on top, I'm talking about like sections of leaves. So over here we have like one section here, another section here, another one here, and I'm starting another one over here. So you kind of have to like visualize like where your different sections are going to be. There's one kind of like big one here, and then there's another one like down here.
And then this would be a third one.
Yes, down here, yeah, a third one, right? So you just kind of have to like envision where your sections are going to be, and then you're going to start to ice it with a lighter green. So I'm going to go, it's still going to be a little bit darker, but there's not going to be any red in this green this time. So just kind of like a straight up green. It's going to be
straight up green.
That's
Straight up.
That is what I'm calling it, straight up green.
And what do you mean by icing?
So icing is like kind of covering the cap of my section. I'm putting a hat on my section with this green. It's getting a nice little cozy hat up here. Now I'm really feeling like Bob Ross. She's going to get a nice little cozy cap here. And it has a little friend that has a cap on it too, down here.
And she's still doing the stippling. And you don't use the very tip of the brush, but more the body of it. For the stippling.
Yes, yeah, I'm like holding my brush a little bit more on an angle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to lighten my green again. Okay, so I'm going to add more yellow to it. I think this is important to note too. Like you should be lightening your green with yellow and not white.
Yeah.
White's gonna like make it very minty, not as like a natural green.
We want this to be like the sun is hitting the leaves, and so it's warm and yellowy.
So my sun's coming from like up top too. Okay, so I'm gonna go for this limier green now, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna like double cap my sections, but this time it's gonna be like a slightly smaller cap. So I'm gonna go up here with my lighter green and.
That makes a lot of sense. You're not going to take this lighter green and put it everywhere you just put your straight up green.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's like a little bit less, a little bit more just to the top.
Right. And then by the time you get to yellow, which I do like to use a little bit of, it's just like a little tiny sliver up top. Over here too in my smaller section.
So notice now how the darker green that was here originally, that shadow green, is really starting to feel further away, and those yellowy, warmer greens are coming forward and helping create that feeling of depth.
Exactly. Cool. Okay, so before I add my highlights, I would like this to dry a little bit. If you start putting yellow in here, yellow's just so wimpy. It's going to get eaten by that lime green, right? So what we want to do is we want to wait for it to dry and then add our highlights, which is what I'm going to do over here. It's nice and dry. So I'm going to take pure yellow.
I also want to point out she's done this very systematically. In case you didn't notice, it was the darkest shadow green, and then the straight up green, as we're calling it, a little bit of yellowy green, and now she's at like super, super yellow. Okay, so like really nice steps forward.
Exactly, like you're moving in like one direction.
In one direction.
That being said, I mean, if I get to this yellow, I can jump back to like a different color.
It's not like you can't ever.
It's like,
you cannot go back.
No, yeah. I mean, I do like to move in that system, and maybe I've like, you know, done a good job, and I'm like, okay, now that I'm done with this yellow, I'm good to go. But you know, it's never really that case with painting. It's a lot of push and pull. So now that I'm like done with this yellow, I'm feeling like, well, you know, some of that lime green could come out a little bit more, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So like maybe
it's okay to go back.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna do it to prove that it's okay. So maybe come in here and bring some more of that limey green back, right?
Yeah, and especially because those layers were wet, they tended to mix a little bit more. So now that it's dry, it will stand out.
Yeah, and the more layers you do, it's just the more richer it'll look. But that's why it's great to start with that dark layer and then wait for it to dry and then go on top of that. Cool. I feel like that really did a lot there.
Voila! Now you
Ta-da!
have dimensional, bushy trees. Thanks, Shannon.
You're welcome.